I've always wondered to myself, is there something special in entrepreneurs that the rest of the people don't have? Is there something they know that the rest of the population doesn't? Is it their social, political, economic, or education background? Is it the schools they went to? What is it that makes entrepreneurs different? Welcome to my masterclasses where I'll share everything you need to know about how to start your business and become a high-profile, high-scale, and a super successful entrepreneur. And joined by the guest who includes entrepreneurs and many other upcoming entrepreneurs, we'll break down the myths, beliefs, ideas, facts, and just everything you need to know to become a high-scale and a super successful entrepreneur. My name is Shamma Juniour, and this is the Business Hub, the center of untold business stories. Thinking outside the box, right? So what is thinking outside the box? Anyone? Adrian, what is thinking outside the box? When someone tells you I need to think outside the box.
For me, I think thinking outside the box like thinking beyond expectation.
Thinking beyond expectations.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Anyone else? Rosalind, what is thinking outside the box? Your mind. Give us that funny definition or other explanation. We'll laugh and forget about it anyway.
I think it's just thinking beyond your expectations.
You're saying, what is thinking outside the box from your perspective?
From my perspective, thinking outside the box refers to thinking beyond the normal. Yeah, like for instance, in case of an accident, more times than not, whoever is trying to help in terms of first aid doesn't usually have the right material to administer the first aid. So they usually have to improvise.
Okay.
Maybe they can use a shirt or something, so that is usually thinking outside the box.
That's a clear-cut explanation. It's really deep, yeah? Really deep. Yeah, thinking outside the box, thinking beyond the normal. You said thinking beyond the normal. That means you need to be abnormal. No, it's just a quick one. Like, okay, yeah, I get the point. Anyone else? Anyone else? Mercy, what do you think? What is, to you, what is thinking outside the box? She has told us it's being abnormal. It's fine. We understand that. Your perspective?
They've already summarized.
Okay. So it's more or less the same as that. Okay. You know, you just reminded me some of these questions in high school. No, was it high school or primary? Where you were given a math that you're supposed to solve, and then there's answer. Part A, B, C is an answer, and then part D is like none of the above. So that's what you're trying to say. But anyway, well, as we've all just said, thinking outside the box is more of, it's more of just going beyond the points of normal, right? Doing things that to some people might look abnormal, but to you, the executor, they could be making some sense, right? So here comes the second question. What is this box that we're talking about? Well, you're told think outside the box. Which box are you talking about? Okay, they've summarized. So which box are you talking about according to their summary? Or anyone else? I mean, which box? What do you mean? What is this box that we keep on talking about? Yeah, when I started, I said it's something we are all used to. We have all been told to think outside the box. But when you start going into details of the discussion, that's where things start getting more difficult, right? So what is this box that we're talking about? Anyone? Yes.
Okay, for me, that box can be the normalities. What everyone else thinks is right, and yeah.
What everyone else?
Think is supposed to be done the way it's done.
Okay, like the general belief,
Sure.
right? What do you think, Licky? What is this box? We're told, think outside the box. What is this box that...
Okay, according to me, the box is let's say it's a particular problem or an issue that needs to be solved.
It's a particular problem that needs a solution?
Or an issue that needs a solution. That's the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So If I tell you to drink this tea without holding the cup, what is the issue? What is the problem? Just a quick one.
Taking the tea.
Taking the tea.
Yeah.
So thinking outside the box is the tea.
You'll think on how you'll take the tea without holding the cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You got me confused, but it's fine. Anyone else?
I think the box is about the usual approach of a situation or a problem. Yeah.
All right. The usual approach. Listen, if someone tells you to think outside the box, that means you already have a solution.
Yes.
But as you've all explained thinking outside the box, the solution is normal. Right?
Yeah.
So you thinking outside the box, that means you need to be abnormal. Her words, not my words again. Her words. But what I'm just trying to say, so when someone tells you to think outside the box, that means you need to think beyond the points of normal.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm trying to feel that if you say that the problem, you said what is the box again?
The normal way
Of doing something.
of doing something.
All
so
right.
we need something. Okay. For instance, let me give an example with my company. We are used to say our floors are engineered for durability.
Correct.
Instead of durability, I can use of the custom colors or designs. That is now I'm trying to think outside the box.
Okay, makes sense. Fair enough. So the box that we talk about, it's something simple, because if you don't think outside the box, then you're thinking within the points of normal, as she said, right? If you think outside the box, you are thinking beyond the points of normal. So the box, ideally, is just the boundaries between our familiarities and the unthought of, or rather the, whatever she said. I'm just trying to make a joke of it, the abnormal, right? Because in most cases, if you ask someone to think outside the box, or if you decide to think outside the box, if people don't understand what you're trying to explain, they might laugh at you, right? They might say, you're crazy, all right? And of course, the box is not the mind. You can't think out of your mind. You'll be running crazy, right? So it's just the boundaries between the normal, what you currently know, and what you don't know yet, or what other people feel uncomfortable getting to terms with. I call it the abnormal. I mean, well, when you're having our second masterclass, I said that if you decide today to maybe leave a well-paying job to start a business, your colleagues will be like, are you stupid? Are you crazy? Are you running out of your mind? Have you tried what you want to do? Okay? At that specific moment, you will be outside the box, because whatever it is you're talking about are things that most people feel uncomfortable doing. Okay? So if someone tells you to think outside the box, they just want you to think of unthinkable. Think of what makes other people uncomfortable. Think of that which is scary to think about. And by the way, we're going to talk about it later, but when you're outside the box, everything feels uncomfortable. Everything feels unsafe for you. Everything feels like it's too much for you to take. Everything feels uncertain. You may not predict what's going to happen next when you're outside the box. So it's just the boundary between your familiarities and that which you've not thought about just yet, or maybe that which is unthinkable, the abnormal to the outside world, the scary decisions that you can ever make in any given situation. So, well, someone will ask, where exactly do you need to apply this box? And, we've talked about the box itself. Of course, you need to understand what the box is. Another question would be, where exactly are you supposed to apply the whole thinking outside the box stuff? Well, we are doing different stuff. Some of us are employed, some of us are in business. And in specific instances, whether employed or in business, you still have your specific niche, your specific environment that needs you to think outside the box. So one thing I need us also to understand, that as we are talking of the box that we are thinking outside, as we are trying to understand, you must also be able to understand your position. What is your current position? Am I making sense? Are you a production worker? Are you a supervisor? Are you a manager? Are you a business owner? So you must be able to understand your position for you to know how exactly you can navigate through the whole thinking outside the box stuff. Am I making sense? Mercy, you now know the box? Give me an example of a box in the perspective of thinking outside the box. So assuming you're inside the box. Give me an example, anyone. When was the last time you were told to think outside the box? What happened? At what instance? What had happened for you to be told to think outside the box?
For example, in our company now, we're on site and we are running out of color hardener. So at some point, maybe I'm in Kitale and I'm in Kitale, right? So procuring the color hardener to Kitale will take another 1 day. And let's say the project needs to be done as soon as possible. There we'll just we'll just use the epoxy hardener and the whole thing will be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, over years we go to school, and funny enough, we go to school to study what other people think is good for us, right? Have you ever thought of doing something that you've not been told to do, something that has not been discovered by anyone else, right? It's crazy, right? So thinking outside the box is something very broad, by the way. It's from the culture to our education. You go to school every single day to be taught that this is a pen, right? And no one can actually change your mind that it's not a pen. Am I making sense? So it's about the familiarities. It could be based on your culture. It could be about the education that you've got, all right? It could be about the business that you're running or maybe your employment setting. Everyone at any given moment will always be within a box. Whether it's your culture, your education, your employment setting, your businesses that you're running, or any other thing that you're doing, you will always be within a box. So what makes you different from everybody else is when you decide to jump off the box, or rather jump out of the box. Am I making sense? So as I said, we are all in different boxes, we are handling different struggles, and we are dealing with different things altogether. So you must understand the kind of box that you are currently in. And when I'm saying the kind of box that you are currently in, I mean what makes you comfortable, all right? Because if you're inside the box, you'll always be comfortable, right? Nothing scares you because after all, after the meeting, you're gonna get home. That is absolutely right. So what if we end the meeting and then the security tells you that no one is leaving the compound? Am I making sense? So anything that makes you comfortable, it means that you are inside the box. All right? So, the second question, why do you need to get out of the box? You want to tell us something?
First of all, I think abnormal is beautiful. And, when you do something abnormal, it will attract people. But something normal, people are used to it. I mean, nobody will even try to take a look at it. So once you're outside the box, you're abnormal. From what she said, I would refer. And I've said abnormal is beautiful. Yeah. So it helps you to get attention. Yeah.
Abnormal is beautiful. So if you decide to walk naked out here, that's very beautiful, Well, we are outside the box right now.
Okay.
We are totally outside the box.
In my defense.
All right.
In my defense.
Okay.
Yeah, given the situation, the natural laws, that's a whole other thing. But based on what you're talking about, getting outside the box, you don't do something. There's a difference between absurd and abnormal. Absurd is something that goes against the natural things. Yeah.
All right. So you said getting outside the box is beautiful, right? So listen, let me ask you a quick question. assuming you're in campus, and then assuming you're in campus, and then a business idea comes on board. And remember, your parents have cleared the school fees. And then you make the decision to drop out of campus to start a business, right? Well, your mom is gonna be crazy on you, right? She's gonna insult you, tell you you're stupid, you're crazy, you don't know what you're doing, your siblings are gonna do the same. Is that still beautiful?
To you, it will be, because you, when you decide to do something, you know the purpose. You don't just jump out to do something because, you know, you have to have a purpose of doing it. They won't see it, but later on, when you focus on what you're doing, the results will be shown. Yeah.
So what you could have said is the results of thinking outside the box are beautiful.
Yeah.
Because the experience, it's not. I can tell you, the moment you get outside the box, that is the most uncomfortable thing you can ever experience in life. You understand? Because sometimes you always travel the strangest of the worlds. You always feel the most horrible experiences. You always go through the most difficult part of life when you hop outside the box. All right? So, well, I'm not saying what you said is wrong, but I'm just trying to say it depends with the kind of box, because I said there are different boxes, right? There are different boxes. And let me tell you something. Let's be a bit tribal here. What's your home country? Or county, sorry?
Homa Bay.
Homa Bay. Wow. So you do a lot of fish, ugali, and all the stuff, right? Good. So if today you decide to go to Mount Kenya, you decide to go to Mwea, right, where there's pishori rice, and then for the very first time, you have to eat rice stew. Am I making sense? Rice with soup. Have you ever taken that?
Yeah,
You've ever taken rice with soup?
Yes.
Rice stew.
Wait.
Stew rice.
The soup is alone, or there's something inside the soup?
You've cooked rice and then you add water to make soup. Have you ever taken that?
No.
No, right? And that is because you're coming from Homa Bay. I mean, the people from Central, Mercy, you can confirm it's possible, right? It's possible, right? Rice stew, right? For us, from Homa Bay, for instance, you'll feel doesn't make sense, right? Don't worry, we are now outside the box. We are outside the box. Don't worry, we are outside the box. So for us, for you, from Homa Bay, you'll feel like, how do you cook rice and add soup to make it stew? It's not possible. For her, she feels like it's very delicious, right? She's used to it, okay? So that's why I'm telling you, it's not comfortable being outside the box. I'm being honest. It's not comfortable being outside the box. So I'm just saying, getting outside the box is what actually differentiates all of us. It's what makes you different from me. It's what makes Rosaline different from, say, Adrian, right? Because when you get outside the box is actually the differentiating factor. The world is designed, or rather the society has made us believe that there are specific patterns that we need to follow in life, right? There are these norms that you need to be born, get raised to, I think, 4th or your 5th year, join kindergarten, from there go to primary, high school, university, get a job, and that's it. The moment you decide to break that pattern, it starts feeling uncomfortable. People are going to laugh at you, right? That's why I asked, if today you decide to drop out of campus to start a business, some people are going to laugh at you. Your parents are going to be crazy on you, right? Because you are now outside the box. You're trying to think of everything differently. You are in your own space. You are in your own world, all right? So the box differentiates what I can do from what, say, Mercy can actually do, from what you can do and Rosaline and everybody else when you're outside the box. The box is what differentiates between a production worker, the supervisor, the manager, and the business owner. It's the box. The business owner is thinking outside a bigger box, right? He's thinking of how to manage employees, procurement, how to manage losses and profits, how to manage the income, how to do sales. That is the business owner, right? The manager is now, of course, thinking out of a box, but slightly smaller than the business owner's box, right? He's worried of the salaries, worried of doing a good job, procurement, and all those stuff. But he's not worried of how to manage losses. Whether the company makes losses or not, it's none of his or her business. It's the business owner's business, right? So for the manager, well, he's thinking outside the box, but slightly smaller box compared to the business owners. Come to the supervisor. The supervisor also thinks outside the box at his or her position, but now slightly smaller than the managers, because the supervisor is only worried of a quality job, the employees reporting to work, and the work being done. He's not worried about the taxes. That the manager is worried of the taxes. He's not worried of how the salaries are going to be paid, because that is under the docket of maybe a manager or maybe an accountant. That's a different docket, right? And then now come down to the production workers. The production workers, they also think outside the box, but a slightly smaller box compared to the supervisor, because for them, they're only worried of how do I do my work perfectly. They're not worried of whether they report on time or not. The client is going to get mad, right? They're not worried of trying to encourage their fellows to do a good job, because they know at the back of their minds that is the role of a supervisor, not their role. So for them, they're only focused on accomplishing a specific task that they're given, all right? So the bigger your box, the more distinct is the differentiating factor between different categories. So the reason I'm saying this is because I feel all of us need to struggle as much as we can to just be critical thinker. Thinking outside the box is, in other words, is just becoming a critical thinker, all right? And listen, the reason why the business owner is going to trust a manager to manage the supervisor and the production workers is because the business owner thinks that the manager thinks outside the box more than everyone else in the company. The reason why the business owner is going to trust the supervisor to supervise the production workers is because he thinks that the supervisor thinks outside the box in relation to the production workers, right? So if you've seen some of these successful managers, CEOs and all that, they will always confirm to you that they started as, production workers or very worthless employees in a company. I'm not saying worthless in a different way, don't misunderstand the point. I mean, I'm just trying to say small employees in a company. But over time, they've proven themselves that they can actually do something better. They can reason critically. They can offer new solutions to the company. And the more you offer more solutions, the more you rise through the ranks. All right? So thinking outside the box is just going to help you to be different from everybody else. That when other people are thinking of maybe some small challenges, you're thinking of a bigger picture. All right? That when you're there as a production worker, you're working, for instance, Ramsha Paints at the site. When everyone else is working at the site, doing the application, for you, as that one single production worker, you start thinking critically. Start thinking as a supervisor. Start thinking in the line of what can we do to make the work better? What can we do to do the work under minimal supervision? The moment you start taking charge and showing your supervisor that you can actually work without any form of supervision, you are starting to get near to be promoted to a supervisor. Am I making sense? So, well, it's a differentiating factor. It just makes you different from everybody else. Because again, as I said, it's not comfortable thinking outside the box, right? It's not comfortable for production workers. Maybe you're there doing application at the site. It's not easy working longer hours than normal in the name of I'm thinking outside the box. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like you're working beyond your job description, right? So the reason why you really need to get outside the box is you need to get different. You need to be different from everyone else. You need to change the status quo. If the society has made you believe that the only way you can do something is by following a specific pattern, you can always do it differently. You can always think outside the box, come up with new ideas. And by the way, becoming a critical thinker, or rather thinking outside the box, gives you the ability to give alternative answers. All right? Because the society have designed us to be having a common answer, right? A quick one. 1 + 1? 2. That's what the society has made you believe. Why not 11?
Because I was told.
Good. All right? Yeah. So the society keeps on pushing us every single day to believe that things were designed to act in a specific way. So the moment you try to struggle, or rather the moment you decide to start thinking in a different way and giving alternative answers and questioning the status quo, coming up with different solutions to the problems that you're having, I think that's when you start thinking outside the box. Am I making sense? Yep. All right. Another question. How do you get outside the box? I love the silence. We are now outside the box. I love it. I love it. We are now totally outside the box. And I love it. Yes. How do you think outside the box? I love it. We are now hanging outside the box. And you know, it's very dark out there. There's some light inside the box. So out there it's really dark. And let me tell you what happens when you start thinking outside the box. The moment you start thinking outside the box, your heart will start pumping. Right? So when I'm looking at you, be like, oh, he's going to ask me to answer the question. You are outside the box. You're actually outside the box, you know? So, well, how? How do you get outside the box? Anyone? Lekki, how? Give us that funny explanation. We're going to laugh and forget about it.
I think as a business people, you get outside the box when there are no alternative ways of solving a particular problem or an issue. So when you are in that situation, you will have to think deeply of a way to solve that particular problem or an issue.
Okay.
I think that's how we get outside the box.
But I think there's something you didn't say, right? That as a business person, you get outside the box when there are no alternatives? No. You don't get outside the box when there are no alternatives. You get outside the box when you decide to. All right? Whether there are alternatives or not, you still got to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, fair enough. Someone else? Rosalind, what do you think?
Adrian.
Oh, Adrian, okay.
Oh, for me, I think when you want to get outside the box, like let me say, there is a situation and you need a better solution. That's when you'll get outside the box.
Okay. We are diverting from my question. I didn't ask when we get out of the box. I asked how do you get outside the box?
Okay.
Anyone? Okay.
Let me say, finding a better solution. That's getting outside the box.
Finding, that is getting outside the box.
Yes.
So how do you get outside the box? I love it because right now we are outside the box and it's perfect. Very nice.
We get outside the box by breaking routine.
Makes sense. Fair enough. Going against the status quo, breaking the normal routines, makes sense. Anyone else? You had something to add?
Okay, I was to say almost the same thing.
Okay.
But I was said, how do you get outside the box? You get outside the box when you get out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
You break from the normal routine you're used to. You break from the normal way, that the familiar way you're used to doing something, and you get out of your comfort zone and go beyond.
Okay.
What you're used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Makes sense. So getting outside the box. I need anyone. Rosalind, Abu come, you help us to do something here, if you don't mind. Getting outside the box is one of the scariest things anyone can ever do, because as I said, it's uncomfortable, right? You know how to pray? You're outside the box. I love it. I love that. You know, the moment you realize you're taking a few seconds to think of something, you're outside the box, and I love it. All right. Can you close your eyes? Just come here. It's fine. Can you close your eyes for a minute? Just close your eyes. All right. So I need to make a story to give you something. I don't know, which example can I use? Any, let me think of something. Okay, close your eyes. So assuming you are in, you are from of course, you are from, what's your village? Where is your village?
Or
Yeah, village, native.
Moi.
Moi. Okay, whatever. So assuming you're from, where you are at the moment, and then you come to Nairobi. I said you close your eyes. I need you to imagine what I'm saying, all right? Maybe you have both parents back at home, and a small, your sibling, your younger brother, younger sister, or anyone who is younger than you. And then, God forbid, maybe after you come to Nairobi, your parents pass away. God forbid, I don't mean it. And then you have these, your sibling, your sister, your brother, who is in grade 8, right? They're just about to do the KCPE exam. And when this happens, it happens when, your parents have not paid. I said you close your eyes. Your parents have not paid the fee just yet, or rather the amount that is needed to pay for that amount, right, for the exams. And so, of course, you go back and then you finish up all the stuff, the burial and everything, God forbid. And then when you're just about to travel back to school, to campus, your younger brother or your younger sister comes on board and starts crying, where you are. And she's like, I'm not going to do my exams, right? I hope you're following. And she's like, I'm not going to do my exams. And according to her or him, she or he feels like you are the only solution. He feels like, of course, you're older than him or her, so he feels like you're the only solution, you're the only left hope because your parents are no more. And that whole grieving moment where everything is chilly, everyone is, sad, things have just happened, your parents are not there, yourself, you're not even sure who is going to pay your school fees in campus because they're the ones who are paying. And open your eyes. What can you see? You're almost crying, right? I'm just saying. I'm very certain that when I was making that story, you are trying to contemplate, you're trying to think of the situation, right? You're trying to imagine if such a thing happens. You're trying to look at your little brother or your little sister cry, right? And she's crying, not knowing that yourself you can't even help, you don't have a solution. When you travel back, or maybe when you're on your way traveling back to school, you're definitely going to have that urge. You'll start thinking, what can I do? Right? Because you'll be trying to imagine how she was crying, he was crying, and you're like, what can I do? What can I do to save his situation? Right? One thing I'm very sure about is the moment you're traveling from home to school, in one or the other, you will be able to raise that amount for her exams or for his exams. Nobody knows how you're going to do it, but you are going to raise that amount, regardless of the amount. Whether you're going to raise it through good means or bad means, you're still going to raise the amount. If your parents were there, you wouldn't bother raising that amount at all, because it's well taken care of. Am I making sense? All right. All of us were imagining with her, right? And I love the silence again, because we are all outside the box, right? Am I making sense? You're almost crying. I can see your eyes. You're just outside the box. So, how do you get outside the box? I think what she said, or what you said, by thinking of the abnormalities, or breaking the daily routines that you are used to, traveling the strange world where you are there trying to imagine things are getting tough and you really need to get a solution. Or sometimes things might not be getting tough, you just need to get an alternative. For her, she has to get an alternative of raising the amount to pay the exam fee, right? If it happens, God forbid. I was just giving an example. So when you get outside the box, you always need to break, as she said, just break go against the norm, go against the beliefs that have been set out, that this is the route that everyone has to take. There is never a specific route that has been written down that this is the only thing you need to do for your staffs to work out, or rather for your stars to align. All right? Sometimes you need to do that which is abnormal, which is absurd, as she said. All right? The next question, when? Now you are talking about that. When do you get outside the box? Mercy. As the mic is approaching, I know she's already outside the box because she's already contemplating on how she's going to put it, how she's going to make the answer better and different, which means you're already outside the box. It's fine. Now just tell us when. When
you decide.
When you decide, yeah. Because you've just decided to get out of the box when I asked the question. So when you decide, number one. Number two, when you need alternative answers, right, to specific situations. Number three, when you're facing some difficulties, when you don't have an option. But again, for me, if someone would ask me when to get out of the box, I'd say every time, as many times as you can. Because as you said, getting outside the box is beautiful. It's not, but the result of getting outside the box are actually beautiful. You could get a promotion just by thinking outside the box, right? If you do something creatively, something that is going to make your boss, that's going to entice your boss and make them feel like, oh, you're a creative thinker. You are doing things differently. You are thinking differently from the team, right? It could earn you a promotion. So that's when you think outside the box. All the time, anytime, always, when you face a difficulty, when you need an alternative answer to the questions that you actually have. All right? The last question. What do you do when you're outside the box? Anyone?
You're supposed to get a solution.
You're supposed to get a solution. Fair enough. Anyone else?
And normally when I'm outside the box, I deeply brainstorm.
You deeply brainstorm. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyone else?
I would say because you're outside the box, it's already uncomfortable. So you might have to doubt yourself at a point.
Okay.
So I think the first thing you should actually have is resilience, the ability to stand with your decision. Yeah.
I think I love that answer. When you're outside the box, the very first thing you need to do is that you need to get control of your emotions, right? Because when you're outside the box, everything feels uncomfortable. Everything feels like you are getting into weird territories, right? The strange territories. So you always need to go back to the box because remember, everyone else is always inside the box. Everyone else, your peers. Listen, have you ever had an idea that you tell your friends, yo, I feel like I need to do this, this, and this, and then they all freak out, they all laugh at you? So that means all of your friends are within the same box, right? So it's only you who is outside the box. So you need to take control of your emotions. And we talked about this, I think was it the 4th or the 5th business masterclass when you were talking about, what was the topic? When you're business psychology, correct? You need to take control of your emotions. You need to take care of your emotions such as the fear, the greed, because you might get outside the box, get too comfortable outside the box, and feel like you need to do it over and over again, even when you are meant to stop. That's when greed comes in. So take good care of emotions. Number 2, believe in yourself. Because again, the society out here makes us believe that we need to follow a specific route, that we need to do things in a specific way. So the moment you start doing things differently, the moment you start, doing something differently, people are going to mock you. People are going to tell you, unajipendekeza, right? They're going to say you are doing something to entice someone or rather to make someone happy. They are going to get uncomfortable about it. They will mock you. They will insult you. They are going to laugh at you. So one thing you need to do is you really need to believe in yourself always, not once, not twice, but always. Because as I said, the fruits of getting outside the box are beautiful, right? The process of getting outside the box is not beautiful, right? No one enjoys to be laughed at. Okay? No one enjoys to be mocked. No one enjoys to be made fun of, right? Because sometimes you get out of the box and then you fail. Your friends are going to laugh at you. They forget that when you fail, you've not failed. You've actually learned something. So that the next time you try it, you'll be much better than you were before. Am I making sense? So, believe yourself. Take control of your emotions. All right? And these emotions are like patience. There's dozens of emotions out here, from fear, greed, patience, resilience, tolerance, sacrifice. That's what I mean. So, don't lose hope in yourself. Don't lose hope, or rather, how do you say it? Don't underrate your capabilities. Don't underrate, whatever it is you can actually do. When you're outside the box, take control of your emotions, because the society will always push us to get back to the box. They will always encourage us to get back to the box, because outside the box, it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. Am I making sense? And that is the end of my questions. So, the first one, he said, you need to understand the box that we are actually talking about, right? And we just said that the box is the boundary between what we know, our familiarities, and that which we don't know just yet. The first one. The second was why, the reason why you actually need to get out of the box, all right? And we said it needs to make you different from everyone else, right? You need to get different. You need to grow. You need to learn new things. You need to challenge the status quo, all right? We talked about how you need to get out of the box, and we said getting out of the box, you just need to challenge the status quo. You need to reason differently. You need to be different amongst everyone else. The next one was when you're supposed to get out of the box. When is always, every time. As long as your journey out of the box do not become a bother to someone else. As long as you don't interfere with someone else's peace, you are free to get out of the box. And then lastly, what do you need to do when getting out of the box? You need to take control of your emotions. All right? You need to take control of your emotions and believe in yourself. Am I making sense? The last thing, I think what I started with, I said we have different boxes. All right? So maybe right now you might be thinking of the box as one particular situation. You might be thinking of the box as that business that you want to start, right? You might be thinking at the box as thinking of the box as maybe the situation, the example we were giving, salvaging a situation, paying school fees for someone back in the village. But we have different boxes, right? Sometimes you need to get out of the box as a supervisor. Sometimes you need to get out of the box as an employer. Sometimes you need to get out of the box as the firstborn in the family. Sometimes you need to get out of the box as any specific niche. I just give you an example. If you've ever taken rice stew, sometimes you need to get out of the box on a cultural basis, right? So it just depends that with the situation that you're actually trying to work around. All right? So there are several instances that you might be forced to get out of the box based on that specific situation. In short, I'm just trying to say that getting out of the box, you need to be a critical thinker, always. You need to be someone who thinks ahead, thinks differently from everyone else in the room. That when everyone else says that this one when everyone else gives a particular answer and insists that that is the right answer, you are able to give alternatives. You are able to advise on other ways that can actually reach that particular decision, rather the best solution for the problem that we currently have. Am I making sense? Yes. Good. Any question or any concern? I need to get everyone's understanding, new understanding of thinking outside the box, what you thought about, what you knew before, or what you now know, and also what you feel we should also add in what we said. All right? We start here.
First of all, I'm thrilled. I actually thought the box is the problems initially, but now I know it's the boundaries between what you know and what you don't know.
All right.
Another thing I would love to add on, we are human beings. Sometimes when you feel uncomfortable, you'll not thrive there for long. So it might be a bit challenging.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian?
Okay. For me, I thought the box is like just finding the solution to any problem that you have. But now, I know it's boundaries between what you know or what is there and what you know. Yeah.
Okay.
What I've learned is the box gives us two important things. The first things, the box helps us to be more creative. And another thing, when you think outside the box, you're a critical thinker.
Okay.
So you become more critical when you think outside the box.
Okay.
I appreciate the discussion, first of all. And thinking outside the box actually makes you view things differently. On my end, like in my position at work, it has made my work easier to some point because I'm not working the same way I found things being done. Daily, I ask myself, how can we go about it to make it maybe easier or complex in a way that you'll get motivated. Another thing, thinking outside the box is also appropriate maybe when you're having competitors, when you want to start up afresh. For the business, maybe when you want to work on your pricing, you need to think outside the box because you can't just tell me this cup was 50 bob yesterday and today I'm coming back to buy it at 1,000. You really need to think outside the box to make me buy it at 1,000. The same cup that I bought at 50 bob yesterday. So thinking outside the box makes vitu zingine kukua easier and it promotes also your mind, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, for me, I thought thinking outside the box, it is thinking different, but for now, I know the real definition of thinking outside the box.
Okay. Mercy, I know you've been thinking outside the box ever since we started here because you're like, I'm the last one now. Okay, let me think critically and then give the best response. And now, I know you're like, when Rosie was passing the mic, you're like, God damn it. I mean, I thought you're going to take a minute. You're just taking 5 seconds. It's fine. We're outside the box now. It's fine. Proceed.
Okay, first of all, I've learned a lot today about thinking outside the box, and I would say that first of all, it's about being creative. At least right now, I know that you should always think outside the box.
I know you're still outside the box. Anyway, it's fine. So that was our today's discussion. Yes, you have a question? Pass the mic.
Thank you. Now, how will you know you'll thrive when how can you predict what will happen when you're outside the box? Because everything is jumbled up.
Mm-hmm.
How will you as a person, yes, I'm outside the box, but how will I predict the results of being outside the box?
How did, which phone are you using? It's fine. I hope it's a device, not a tool of communication. Yeah, there's a difference between a device and a tool of communication. So I hope it's a tool of, it's a device, not a tool of, okay.
Sorry.
Which device are you using?
I'm using a Samsung.
Oh, okay. Is a Samsung a device or a tool of communication?
It's a device.
It's a device,
Yeah.
okay. So how did the founder of Samsung know that you are going to buy his product? How did the founder of Samsung, the phone, know that Patricia is going to buy his invention, his product, the Samsung, the phone?
The Samsung. When he create or the
Yeah, when he created it, of course he invented the Samsung, right?
yeah.
So how did he know that you are going to use the Samsung?
I don't know. He used it first.
How did he know that you are going to use the phone?
He knew my needs or something.
He didn't know your needs. He's not you. He's not you. So he didn't know your needs. He doesn't even know you exist for your information.
Oh yeah, of course.
Good. So how did he know you're going to buy the phone?
I don't know.
You got the answer.
Oh,
Right? You got the answer. Okay? So when you're thinking outside the box, everything feels scary even to you, the founder of the idea. You don't even, sometimes, that's why I said, when you're outside the box, you need to get control of your emotions. All right? The fear, the greed, the tolerance, the patience. You need to gain control of your emotions when you're outside the box. Because outside the box, everything is uncertain. You feel uncomfortable. Remember, your friends are telling you to come back to the box. Your parents are telling you to go back to the box. Your siblings are telling you to go back to the box. When you drop out of school to start that business, they're telling you, no, you've done a mistake. You should not have dropped out of school. Go back to the box. So everybody else, the society, your friends, your family, your siblings, everyone, your lecturers and everyone, they're pushing you to go back to the box, right? But for you, being that you know what you want, you feel like, no, regardless of the pressure, regardless of the tension and everything, I'm soldiering on. I'm not going back to the box. You choose to be uncomfortable for the future, right? So when you're outside the box, you're just trying to get alternative answers. You're trying to think differently. You're trying to think abnormally based on what she said. I'm just trying to, you're trying to think abnormally. Your thinking is actually absurd. Am I making sense? Yeah, so if you can answer how the founder of Samsung knew that you're going to buy the phone, then you can answer the question you've just asked. All right? I know you're outside the box. It's fine. And I love that. I really love that. You're outside the box. Good. Any other question? We are good? You have a question? You good? All right. You're good? Okay. I think we can stop it from there or end it from there. And we call it a masterclass session.